going to, and it says we're live. There you go. So actually, welcome to Liz. Hi. And so just actually, so you know, we're across a few different channels here. So we are live on Facebook, live on LinkedIn, and also on YouTube. Because if we have access to all of this, I think that we should be talking to everybody. We don't actually know where all of our audience sits.
Exactly. So thank you.
It's actually. It's great, actually. So, and one of the things which I realized with my membership is that I wanted to be able to put those that work in my membership, or not work in my membership, those that are part of my membership, give you the opportunity to come on and talk to my audience, you know, because also I think that a lot of what my members do is amazing work, and they're with me for a reason, to, you know, kind of help them out for some reason. But what they do, actually, I kind of really feel like really invested in as well. I really feel personally about it. So, and this is why now I love to have my members come join me. So, Liz, let's talk about how we met. So
shall I tell you when we met?
Go on, I'll let you take this one then.
We met one night when you were being interviewed on Tech Pixies, and I had done the Tech Pixies Supercharge course, and you were talking about your experience in Tech Pixies, and you and Christina Bayon at the time, and you both really inspired me to join Tech Pixies, and I've never looked back. So thank you.
No, well, I'm really glad for you. So yeah, I mean, but and this is the reason why now we do this, because you don't know whose life you're going to impact going forward. And every time I hear that, I just feel like, oh, that's so sweet. That's really, I feel grateful, actually, that, yeah, the opportunity presented itself to say, yes, let's go and have a conversation with somebody on social media. Because you don't know who's watching or what lives you're going to impact going forward. So
exactly. And as you know, I had not been on social media at all. I didn't have a Facebook page. I didn't have anything. So yeah. And the reason I joined your membership was because the people that you're surrounding yourself with, I feel that you're ahead, and that actually gives me inspiration to aspire to what you're doing. So yeah, I'm putting myself completely out of my comfort zone in your hands, in your safe hands.
Wow. I mean, it must have been probably a year ago or so that you joined Tech Pixies.
Yeah.
And now look at where you are. I mean, when I look at your social channels, I mean, you're there, you're out there, you know, you're doing it. So
here with you.
Yeah, and then exactly. So all of these things and these you know, these lessons that you take in life and the pathways that you choose are all for a very good reason. Yeah. And I do tend to say, actually, a lot that you'll find what you really want to do in life. And sometimes, you know, you have to do what is right for you, that lights you up. And when you have to do something that isn't quite for you, you know, your 100% thing that sparks you, grab a lifeboat of somebody that knows what they're doing, okay? Hitch yourself to them, okay? And just enjoy the ride. And I think that, yeah, this is where I see you now. You're just really just holding on tight, enjoying the ride, and just going, okay, she says, do that, let's do this. and it's great. It really is. And then you're here today, yeah, across 3 different live channels.
I've got my Scampin' Dude. Are we allowed to say, you know,
there you go. Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I'm sure that Scampin' Dude won't have a problem with it either. So yeah, it's good. So yeah, so let's talk about, so it was through Tech Pixies that we met, and Tech Pixies is it's a online training program to help women upskill, return to work, you know, change careers. And we all do that in our own different ways.
Yeah.
And yeah, I started Tech Pixies in the November 2020. You joined about 6 months later. And there are hundreds of women in that group. There really are hundreds of women. And I think that what's quite amazing is actually the different people that you meet as we go along, because actually, if not for Tech Pixies, neither you or I would actually probably met at all.
Exactly.
And
it's a great tribe. And I think, you know, particularly in lockdown, it gave me routine. I was learning something. I was surrounded by people in a similar situation. So yeah, it's been great. And long may it continue. And I'm now, I've just done the Dream Builder program as well, testing my dreams, which has been fabulous. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So with thanks to everybody in Tech Pixies.
In Tech Pixies, yeah, exactly.
The lovely Joy.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll make sure we put a link to Tech Pixies in there as well. When we finish this recording, we're going to put that in there so you can go check them out. Yeah. So Liz, for my audience, okay, so people on my channels that are watching this will know who I am. So I help small business owners to put processes in place in their business, and I help them to make things easier, you know, to kind of lift the curtain on how difficult really business can be and just shine a light to go forward and help you to move forward. Tell my audience, okay, all about you and what you do. I choke up every time I read your website. So tell us about what it is you do.
So I provide emotional and legal support after someone dies, but I also teach people the impact of them not being here. So I help people prepare their end of life plans and their wishes, and then hopefully we do that now before their loved ones have to. And then when their loved ones are left with facing everything, I can help them emotionally. I teach them the skills to deal with loss. And I also provide all the legal, the probate support that people need. There's a lot to do. And I came to it because I lost my brother, my mum and my dad, and one of my friends in 3 years. And in fact, I'd just like to say that this week marks what would have been my dad's 95th birthday and my brother's 65th birthday. So it's great to be here. I really feel, you know, saying that out loud, that what happened with me and what happened with them gave me my why. But for me, I want to make sure that people know that there's support out there. We don't know we need it until we need it. And from my side, I provide kind of a one-stop shop of everything, from, you know, what you need to do to giving you a helping hand with an arm around your shoulder.
Yeah, and I think it's really incredible what you can offer people. And I mean, I just think back to my own past experiences. I mean, I had 2 losses which were really quite huge for me within a year of each other. So I had a late pregnancy loss. I was 8 months pregnant, and I lost her, and that's quite a late pregnancy. You know, that's really quite harsh. And within the year, I also lost my mum as well. And so just as you kind of feel like you're pulling out the bottom of the barrel, you know, another thing that's it, you kind of lose it. And I really didn't know what to do. And, you know, you really don't know until it's too late, you know, kind of what you can do and where the help is. Exactly. And I just think that, yeah, knowing that you could have helped me, had I have seen or knew about you at that time, actually, that would have been really helpful to have known Liz at that time. And which is why I really would hope that somebody would have put that in front of me, you know, what would be 7 years ago now. Because it does take time to kind of come over these things. So
and there's a lot to do. And, you know, I'm working with a lady at the moment, you know, her husband died suddenly and she's all at sea, and she's suddenly left with the responsibility of a lot of technical things that she's got to deal with. And she doesn't know which way to turn, as well as the fact that, you know, you go into the kitchen in the morning and you put the kettle on, and then you think, what did I come into the kitchen for? Because the other thing that people don't realize is that grief brings a complete brain fog. And you're dealing with the authorities and banks and HMRC. You know, in lockdown, I helped 3 people, and one gentleman had to sell a house, and he'd never owned a house himself. So, and also, you know, he was in London and the home was in Sheffield, and he couldn't go to it. So, you know, lockdown, I think, has really emphasized for people to get their affairs in order. And so I'm now also a Before I Go Solutions facilitator. So we help people prepare their plans, as I said before, their loved ones have to. But for me now, as well as giving the support, and I have done for a number of years now, the support to people after someone dies, I also really, really feel it's important to educate now on providing people with those tools before. We can't take the pain away, but we can help people by making sure that everything's sorted beforehand. That gives peace of mind for you know, you and I getting our stuff sorted out, but also, you know, it makes things a lot easier for the people that are left behind.
Yeah, and it's amazing work. And yeah, I mean, in my case, I didn't have any, you know, I didn't have any clue what was going to be going on. But I mean, I think it's great that, yeah, you know, your model involves helping people before, you know, because that's I mean, the hard part of it is dealing with everything after.
Well, also, I want to demystify the word, you know, death and dying. We don't talk about it in our society. And, you know, we use lots of other things like, you know, with children, we have to be really careful. I also do a Helping Children with Loss program, but actually it's for the adults, not for the children. So we teach the adults how to support their children with language, different language to maybe what you and I have been brought up with. And it's really, really important, this education piece, as well as the care afterwards. And I wouldn't underestimate, you know, how much there is to do and what people really need. I think that, you know, I look back to where I was, and I did exist because it was me, you know, having to deal with it all. But yes, I just want to make sure that other people have got help, and they can, you know, they know where to go. It's really important. And it's interesting because, you know, is that thing we don't want to talk about it. It's not going to happen.
It's a bit of a taboo subject, isn't it? Especially, you know,
yeah.
Is it just Brits, I wonder?
Yeah, and for 5 years, I actually was on the cancer ward in my local hospital one day a week. And that really gave me an insight as well to what people were going through, because often when people then are faced with a terminal diagnosis, they're too tired. They're too tired to actually do what, you know, get their stuff sorted out. And also it's that thing that happens is the patient doesn't want to talk about things, how they're feeling, because they don't want to upset the family, and the family don't want to talk because they're going to upset the patient. We go into this circle. So I say, you know, try and get your ducks in a row. Somebody asked me recently what age I would say that everybody ought to think about doing this. And you see, I think everyone should, but certainly I think if there's a life event that, you know, maybe you've had a child or you've got married, I think it's really important for single people too, because who's going to come into your house and sort everything out? So I do think it's important for everyone.
Yeah. And when I just now think about my life, you know, it was, I think, January 2020, my husband, his intestine ruptured and he ended up in a hospital for 3 months. And, you know, that night I was sitting in the ICU waiting room because he went in for emergency surgery, knowing it was going to be ICU he went back to if he made it through. And I just remember at that point feeling completely helpless, like, you know, you have 1,000 questions all pop into your head. What will I do? What's going to happen? I just don't know. And it's at that point, you know, it's the fear. It really is, and the fear can be so crippling. So, and I'm completely with you in terms of I don't think there's any right time to start. You know, today is the best time to start, isn't it, really? So what happens, Liz, if I then came to you today and said that, you know, I needed help to put this in place? Is it something that you put in place then, and so later on, if I need that help, it's there, or is it continuously ongoing? How does that work?
Well, the facilitation, the plans for getting your affairs in order, you can either do on a one-to-one basis with me. You have an online platform that you can go into as part of the fee, and you get lots of resources and modules that you can go through and work through yourself. And then we have a coaching call every week so that I can help you think about some of the, you know, provide a safe place to talk about some of these more difficult things. And then hopefully within a good 3 months, you would have got everything sorted out. And then it's a case of updating it. So that would be the first thing. If you had, I'm really conscious that, you know, you've shared with me some really personal things, and, you know, my heart goes out to you. And, you know, loss can be with us. We put sticking plasters over it. And so, you know, I would encourage everybody to really think about things that perhaps they didn't get to say to people, particularly after lockdown, where people didn't get to say goodbye. So I teach something called the grief recovery method, and that helps you deal with, you know, to get out communications that you wish you had said, uncommunicated communication. So those would be kind of two, I would call them preventative, if that makes sense.
Completely, yeah.
And then when someone dies, if, you know, I had somebody not that long ago who's a close family member died suddenly, and he didn't know where to start. So, you know, he came and we sat and we talked about the funeral. He got young girls. What were they going to do? What was he going to do? And, you know, we talked about these very practical things. When you go to a funeral director, you get asked some very odd questions that you won't be expecting.
Yeah.
So I prepared him for those, and to give him thought, you know, food for thought about how what he needed as well.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So yeah, so Liz, I mean, how do people get in touch with you? I mean, the website is showing there. Okay, is it just a matter of jumping on the website and
yes,
pressing contact?
Yeah, all my contact details are on the website. I'm on LinkedIn as well, and we'll be sharing the link here and my Facebook page. So yes, please get in touch. I've got the Before I Go end of life planning. I have a group starting later on this month. So if anybody, if you want to do it as a group, that would be with, it doesn't mean, I had an inquiry from someone and they thought that if they were in a group, they were going to have to discuss their financial affairs with people they didn't know, but it isn't that. You do the work and then we talk about what's come up for you in that week. So you can do it as a group, and that I've got a group starting on the 19th of April. And then if you want to do it one-to-one, I think with some people, they prefer to do it on a one-to-one basis. And we can talk about a time that's suitable for you. And, you know, we can do it over a number of weeks. So it is quite a lot of work, I would say, quite an investment.
But it's no different from buying insurance, is it, really? But this is a lot more personable. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And we have we want people to make an end of life plan as commonplace as having a birth plan. You know, you wouldn't have a wedding without making a plan.
That's a great, really, that's a great analogy of it, really, that, it's something that just needs to be planned for. So, yeah.
And, you know, the other important thing is things change. And a lot of people put these things off. One of the ladies I'm working with at the moment, her husband died without a will, and he kept putting it off. And, you know, that creates, it's even worse. You know, the amount of work is hard when there is a will, but, you know, 60% of adults don't have wills. And, you know, that's really, really important. And then also we find that people keep saying they'll do these things, and actually, you know, people don't. So do it.
Yeah. So you run the group sessions from the 19th of April, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the next Helping Children with Loss program is in May, and that's 4 weeks, 4 evenings. That's really aimed at any caregiver, a parent, a teacher, anybody that is working with children, young people, to kind of, you know, to understand language to use and really provide a space for young people to listen. And we encourage people to do that. I'm running a group at the moment, a bereavement. Well, it's a group for helping people deal with loss, and I must emphasize that the grief recovery program is for all loss. It isn't only about death. So I've got people in the group that have had someone's died. I've got someone going through a divorce. I've got someone who, you know, has got other losses in their lives that they haven't really talked about. So that group is running at the moment, and once that one's finished, I'll start another one. Or you can do all of these on a one-to-one basis.
That's amazing. And actually, when you think about the word loss, you automatically presume, as I did actually after I lost my mum, you automatically presume that the loss is just of a person that's, you know, passed away. Yeah. And in my case, actually, there was, and I don't mind to say this, there was, you know, there was some issues in terms of our family. Yeah. And I kind of felt that at the time I lost my mum, I also lost my sisters, because there was a huge, you know, as when nothing is planned, nothing is planned. So actually, at the point of actually going through, I actually had to go through counselling. I was already in a low place, but then having to go through counselling because I was even deeper by that point. My counsellor just pointed out to me, she said, Paula, you haven't just lost your mum, but you've lost your mum and your sisters. And you have to view that like that. So I think it's fantastic that, yeah, that your program also takes that into account, you know, and at any point, actually, loss isn't just a death.
That's right. We look at the person's whole loss history, from their dawn of conscious memory, which is the first thing that they ever remember in their life, to today. And we look across that whole spectrum, and they then can choose where they've got the most uncommunicated communication. It's really, really important. And, you know, a loss can be a change of career, can be COVID. You know, I used recovery for myself on lockdown. You know, I lived on my own, and it was a very, very, very challenging time. It was challenging for a lot of people, but all for different reasons. You know, we've got children now going back, having been back at school, but, you know, there's a lot of there's a lot come up for people as a result of lockdown. And so, yes, I encourage people to open the closet door and look what's in there, and you know, think about what needs to be said. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I don't think that you beat your drum loudly enough in terms of what you do. And really, I completely support everything you do. I really see a huge benefit. And I think that everybody should be banging down your door to come work with you, because I see a huge benefit to this. So, and I think that what you do is just amazing. And especially, everything really. So, well, and just keep doing what you're doing. So Liz, what's the plan going forward? I have to know, is the plan then is it to stay as you are? Is it to expand, keep helping more groups?
Yes. Well, the end of life planning is a new thing that I started last year. And so I'm really working, I really want to change lives this next year. I have a kind of mission to get everybody to get their stuff in order. And also for people to know that, you know, when the inevitable happens, that I'm here. And really to, you know, as I've said, to demystify this word and provide a safe place for people. You know, I've sat with many people over thousands of hours now, and it's what I would say to anyone listening who maybe has got a friend or a family member at the moment that's just dealing with a loss or a change in life. What I would say is really listen and don't change the subject. There's a great book, as well as obviously the one I teach, the Grief Recovery Method. There's a book, I'm just going to reach for it.
Go for it. It's always good to share.
Ben Brooks Dutton, he was behind the documentary. Can you see it that
just
way?
Move it towards it. Yeah. Perfect. Oh.
So this gentleman was behind the documentary for With Rio Ferdinand being mum and dad. And this man lost his wife when his son was only 2. And he wrote this book, but he blogged for men, fathers. He realized at the time that there was nothing for men, but he's got a great checklist at the back of do's and don'ts that he wrote for all his family and friends to say, do this, don't do that. And what I would say connected with that is that often people say, you know, oh, let me know if I can help. What does that mean? What I would say is find out what really would help. And I remember a lady that I was sat with, and she had a terminal cancer diagnosis. She'd been a mother, a grandmother several times over, and she'd always been the carer. She'd always looked after everybody else. And I said to her, what do you need? If the arrows were to come in for a little while, what would you say to your friends that you really need? And she said, I never ask for help. So I said, well, let's just, let's sit and think about it. Have a little think. What would you really love right now? And she said, I'd love an apple pie. And for her, that was one thing that she could ask for. And I've never forgotten it. My mum made wonderful apple pies, I have to tell you. So it really resonated with me. But yeah, have a think about what you really need and ask. And don't be disappointed. Sometimes people can't say yes, but it doesn't mean to say that someone else won't say yes. And it also might just mean that they can't say yes at that point. It doesn't mean to say that they won't say yes in a few months' time. And a really practical thing, Jane Duncan Rogers, who founded Before I Go Solutions, when her husband died, her next door neighbour said, I'm going to the post office every day at 3:00. And he knew she had her own business. So he said, if you need anything taken to the post office, leave it on the doorstep and I'll take it for you. And that was a real example of, her not asking as it happened, but, him saying, I can do this for you.
Yeah.
So think about what you can do for people and really mean it. And the other thing is, when people want to talk, listen, and please don't change the subject.
Amazing words. Amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Am I allowed to say happy birthday to somebody?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So my dad's birthday would have been Monday, as I said, and my brother's on Friday. And in between that, the sandwich is my brother's best friend called Matt Fleming, and it's his birthday today. And when my brother died, I remember us both, literally, we were both sobbing our hearts out on the phone to each other. We could hardly speak. And I had suddenly been left with this huge responsibility. And I remember him saying to me, Liz, your brother was surrounded by hugely influential professional people, all of whom would be here now saying, I can do this for you, I can do this. And he said, but he chose you. He said, because he trusted you implicitly and he loved you. And we were not a family who ever said those words. We didn't do feelings. And I don't ever remember my brother saying those words to me. But in essence, his friend saying them to me gave me the confidence that actually I was trusted to close down the most important person in my life. And so I'd just like to say happy birthday to Matt, and to say, happy 65th birthday. We all know how old you are, so let's just go for it.
Oh, that's amazing. Now you have to make sure that you share this over and tag him, okay? So he gets lots of birthday wishes as well. Oh my God, that's such a beautiful story. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I'm just, I'm all teary now. So I'm going to just wrap up by saying, yes, if you haven't already contacted Liz, her details are on the screen there. Go and hit the contact button, go and make contact with Liz, okay? You've seen here the amazing things that she does. And yeah, if you have any questions, this will be shared over everywhere. I'm sure you can just go tag Liz and she'll happily come and answer your question for you. So Liz, it just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been an emotional half an hour. It really has, but it's been amazing, really amazing. So, and thank you for everything that you do. Really, you've got amazing, what you're doing is just superb, really.
Thank you. Yeah. And you too. And, and I'm here because I'm holding on to your shirt sleeves. I'm following you up Mount Everest.
Well, a year ago I didn't have a membership or even thinking about going live with people. So it's amazing,
It's fabulous.
Journeys move.
Fabulous.
Journeys do move. So
Thank you for having me in your tribe.
No, thank you so much. So until next time.
Next time.